This is The Express with Gary Allen, your 360-degree view of the world. Now, here's your host, Gary Allen.
Thank you all very much, and welcome to another episode of The Express here on TMV Cafe. So glad you could join us here. It's May 27th, and we're heading into the summer months, and we're also heading into the hot weather. Tonight, our guest is Zev Auerbach. But before we get to Zev and discussion, we'll be talking about Kabbalah. EW, tell everybody out there, if they're not listening to me, how they can listen to some of the other great shows here on TMV Cafe.
Simply go to tmvcafe.com and listen to the shows live there or via your smart devices, thanks to the wonderful TuneIn.com app. Other than that, you can listen to us via the iTunes. Just look us up there as TMV Cafe and get the free downloads.
All right, thank you very much, EW. Tonight's guest is Zev Auerbach. He's a partner in Zimmerman Advertising, one of the largest advertising agencies in the country. He also happens to be one of my dearest friends in the whole world. And before we bring Zev on, I just want to let some of you know this is what I got from the internet, a little bit about Kabbalah. Although its origins are rooted in deep antiquity, from the time of ancient Babylon, the wisdom of Kabbalah has remained virtually hidden for humanity since it appeared more than 4,000 years ago. To this very day, only a few know what Kabbalah really is. And that's why I have Mr. Zev Auerbach on, because Zev is a student and practitioner of this philosophy. It is not a religion, but for those of you out there that are searching for something to look for, I will tell you I've been very impressed with all the background information that I've gotten. And the first time that Zev was on the show, we talked about advertising as well as Kabbalah. But Zev Auerbach is one of my dearest friends in the whole wide world. We went to college together, which he never lets me forget. And so with that said, Zev, welcome to The Express, and thank you for taking time out of your evening to join us.
Oh, you're welcome, Gary. I hope you're doing well.
I am doing very, very well. I have you on the line. How else could I be doing bad? You know what I mean?
Okay, good. That's a good sign.
Yes, it is. It's a better sign than when you wake up in the morning and somebody says, by the way, your name's in the obit, and you go, what? You know, and I'm still here, although that has happened to a couple of guys I know from my days in Vietnam. Zev, before we get into the philosophy of Kabbalah, before we get into why and what it can do for people, let's dispel some of the myths. First of all, Kabbalah is not a religion, right?
That's correct. It's a study of spirituality, so it's not a religion in the sense of what people expect when they go to a church or synagogue.
Correct. And Kabbalah is not connected to red strings and holy water, correct?
It's not connected to holy water. It is connected to red strings, which is the string from the. Yeah, well, when we all wear red strings on our left wrist that have been imbued with certain energy from Rachel the matriarch. So when you see someone wearing a red string, there's a chance that they're a Kabbalah student. Those red strings are also given away in Israel, and they're given away in other places to ward off spirits, intentions, evil eye. If you think about it, the tradition of tying a red ribbon on a baby carriage. When a baby is born, they tie a red ribbon or a red bow on a baby carriage, or they'll put a red bow in a new car. That tradition stems from that red string.
I didn't know that. Wow, that goes back 4,000 years?
Yes. Yeah, well, it goes back before creation itself. It's been documented 4,000 years ago.
All right. Kabbalah is reserved for a minority of persons, and only men over 40 years of age are allowed to learn it. That's got to be false.
That is, sorry for cutting you off. That is false. You are correct.
Yeah.
That is a myth. It's clearly written in the Zohar, which is the main book of Kabbalah, by the Ari, by Rav Ashlag, the founder of the Kabbalah Center and the founder of the spirituality itself, that Kabbalah is for everyone. It is the study of spirituality the same way God is for everyone.
Yes.
No one person could logically say God is for me and not for you. And that's the difference between a religion and Kabbalah. Religion draws lines. It's limitation. It's steeped in tradition and man-made speculation. Kabbalah is open to everyone. There are no limitations. And if you think about it, if there was a way of connecting to a creator, whether you call it a creator God, a creator, or as we call it, the light, if there was a way of connecting and communicating with a creator, would that creator only want a segment of a population to actually have the power to communicate with the person he created? Doesn't make sense.
Mm.
So it's clearly written and clearly logical that any communication to a higher power should be open to all people. So the Kabbalah Center is open to all people. The myth that Kabbalah is for 40-year-old men and Jewish people is false. It's just that simple.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I once saw a line in a movie, just because you say it doesn't make it so.
Mm.
And it's no deeper than that. It's just false. It's open to everyone.
Where is the myth that it's just for well, you and I are both of the Jewish faith. Where did this whole myth begin that it was just for people of the Jewish faith?
Religion is man-made. So all religions are man-made. That means people, not supernal forces, it documented and interpreted their beliefs. So somewhere along the line, it was interpreted that Kabbalah should be for 40-year-old men and for Jewish people. I'm not sure who's the one person that started it,
mm-hmm.
but we are sure that it was man-made.
Yeah, that's like the myth of when Jesus is going to return. You know, nobody really ever knows when that date is. It's written in the heavens, I guess. So let's begin with this much. Why Kabbalah? What was it about Kabbalah that interested you? And then we'll get into the what are the 5 stages of desire for pleasure as we move along. But why? What was it about Kabbalah that interested you, that you gravitated towards it?
If you study Kabbalah, you soon learn that the universe gives you opportunities, puts you in certain places at certain times. Whether you recognize that opportunity is one thing, but you're always in the right place. You're always in the right place at the right time if you're looking for the right thing. So, for example, you're late for an airplane taking off. You're stuck in traffic, unfortunately an accident.
Mm-hmm.
You may think you're in the wrong place. You shouldn't be in the accident. You should be in the airport. You missed the plane. The plane ends up having a problem. Were you in the right place or the wrong place when you were in the accident? You were in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't recognize nor realize it because you weren't thinking of the why. Most people think of the why me, not the why.
Yeah.
Why am I here now? So I wandered into the Kabbalah Center in Aventura, Florida, and met with a teacher. And at the time, there was something trying going on in my life, and I was open to a spiritual solution. Now, if I had been closed to the spiritual solution, I would never have studied Kabbalah. But at the time, I was open to something beyond logic, something beyond doctors, something beyond the ordinary. I was open to the extraordinary. And the universe put me in the right place when we accidentally wandered into this Kabbalah Center.
Mm-hmm.
We were at an ice cream shop next door, and we wandered in. It was that simple.
What did you do before then? Just go to temple and assumed your own beliefs at that point?
You know, there's an old joke here. I'm a practicing Jew. I was practicing. I didn't have it down to a science.
Yeah.
I would go on occasion, the big occasions, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Passover, and other than that, I wasn't religious at all, and I wasn't connected to the Torah, which is the Jewish version of the Bible.
Right.
I was just I was a casual Jew. I was proud to be Jewish. I still am.
Yeah.
But I was casual. I wasn't really practicing a religion.
Yeah, I don't think I ever heard you in all the years I've known you, which is what, 30-some years, well, 25 years anyway, at least. I don't think I've ever heard you talk about religion when we were in college together or anything else. Does Kabbalah help the universal question to be answered, why am I here? What is my purpose?
Oh, absolutely. That's at the foundation, the cornerstone of the Kabbalah teaching is why am I here? Because if you think it's random, then you could not intervene. You couldn't change your fate or your destiny. You would simply be a rudderless ship blowing in the ocean for 100+ years now, and that would be it. So Kabbalah definitely says you are here for a very specific purpose. You are here to correct and to elevate spiritually and help achieve what we call Mashiach, which is a state of being for the entire world. So at the Kabbalah Center, we are taught that we are collectively trying to achieve a state of being, peace, fulfillment, goodness for the entire world. It is not about us individually. It is about us collectively, including the world, including the people who don't study. However, in order to raise your consciousness, to develop that power, you have to change certain things about your own DNA, your own consciousness. You have to become a creature of sharing. You have to act like God. Now, God's a creator. Creators create, right? A painter paints. Painters don't destroy their art. They keep painting. Writers write. Creators create. The Creator created. He is a creature of sharing, 100% sharing. So what the Kabbalah says is if we were creatures of 100% sharing, we would tap into a higher level of thinking. We would develop a superpower. And that superpower, collectively, when we created critical mass, would give us the ability to bring peace and harmony to the entire world.
So in other words, get rid of your ego and think more like God or whatever a deity that you pray to, and the more you're like the light of the Creator, the more you'll share with others, and the more joy and happiness and fulfillment you will have in your own life as well as what you bring to others.
That's very perceptive, Gary. The word you used, ego, is the key word. Ego is the enemy. Let go of my ego. Ego is the enemy. Everything we do as people is based on a degree of ego. We ask the question, who has more ego? The person who's loud and obnoxious or the person who is quiet and reserved, shy? The answer is quiet, reserved, and shy. Their ego is bigger than the person who's loud and obnoxious. The person who's loud and obnoxious doesn't care what you think of them. The person who is shy is very concerned what you think of them. So concerned that they sit in the back. They refuse to step forward. They refuse to step up. They don't want to take responsibility. They want to hide in the shadows. Now, that's based on ego. When someone is angry, why does someone get angry? You made me angry. If you're not involved in the situation, you don't really get angry. You get angry when you're involved. That's ego. If someone is sad, I'm sad. Why are you sad? I'm sad because I was hurt, because I'm entitled and I didn't get. Ego. Ego is the enemy. If you were able to shut down your ego, you would be able to elevate. You would be able to think faster. For example, what doesn't have an ego? Computers. Computers have no ego, right? Computers just act. They don't react.
No, but they can drive your ego crazy, though.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
I just got a new one. Ask Wendy, and I've been going through holy heck with it.
If you were to think about this, man programs computers. So why can't man think as fast as a computer? Because no matter what we do, we react. We do not act. If you ask a computer one-on-one within a second, 2. Man says, I know this, 1-on-1 is 2. In that second, you're delaying the process. That reaction time stems from our ego. So it's not about us being like computers, because that certainly separates man from machine. But it is about us eliminating, decreasing our ego so that we can elevate our soul.
If the ego can be trained, like, you and I were in school about broadcasting and journalism, can the ego be trained to not react as quick as it does? Because I'll be honest with you, you and I are both in a business where ego is a major part of who and what people are. It may not be you and me necessarily. Oh, by the way, I want to thank you for the wonderful compliment, because I've been outgoing and gregarious all my life, so apparently my ego's not as big as other people think it is. But you understand what I'm saying? Can one true Kabbalah or meditation Can one train the ego to not be so reactive and just act instead of react to the act?
What you're calling the training of the ego, we call restriction. So it's a mental process that does shut down the ego. You can't eliminate your ego. Your ego will never be eliminated. And the truth is, you never want to eliminate all of it. You want to channel it into a healthy energy. Because if you eliminate all your ego, you would take no pride in anything you did. There would be no effort. There would be no energy. Mm-hmm. So what you don't want to eliminate it, but you do want to transform it and mold it. So the process of restriction shuts down our instinct for negative reaction. Case in point, you're at a red light. The older woman in front of you is not moving. It doesn't move quick enough when it's green. Have you ever heard the way people honk at that woman? They slam that horn. They don't just toot to say, hey, I know you may be daydreaming, but it's a green light. They slam that horn with no regard for her forging into traffic or scaring her or her feelings. That's ego. The act of restriction would say, stop. Don't beep the horn like that. Wait a second. And it's all instant. It's quick. Mm-hmm. I need to alert her to move so that we can all go, but let me toot the horn lightly as to not scare her. Mm-hmm. So restriction happens on everything we do. Now, here's a difference between the traditional religious person, and the Kabbalist. Let's say they say a prayer before they drink water or they drink bread. Mm-hmm. They're in their mind saying a prayer to thank God or protect themselves or just feel good about saying it, just robotically saying the prayer. The Kabbalist is restricting in that moment of prayer. And what they're doing is acknowledging and tapping into the energy of the moment. It's a difference. So they're grateful for the water, they're appreciating the water, and then they're consuming the water. That's the difference. It's all the act of restriction. Dating. When people date, the instinct is to do whatever you want on the date, and the next day the date is over and the girl or the guy are out of your life. Kabbalists wouldn't do that. They would consider the feelings of the next day. They would consider the ramifications of having unprotected activity. Mm-hmm. Everything we do can have a sense of restriction to it before we do it. Now, this is not a long process. It happens instantly. It's a way of thinking. Mm-hmm. But it's called restriction, and that's how you control. It's the leash for your pet ego.
Can we talk about the 5 stages of desire for pleasure, and what are they?
The 5 stages for desire for pleasure. Gary, I got to tell you, I'm not familiar with the 5 stages.
Oh, okay. All right.
As you're saying them. If you were to articulate them to me, I probably know them individually. I just don't know them as the 5 stages.
The first and most basic desire is the desire for food, health, sex, and family. They are necessary for the desire for survival. The second stage is assumption for wealth. The third is craving for honor and power. The fourth stage appears for desire and knowledge, and the fifth is the last stage, desire appears. We become attracted to the unknown, something that is beyond us, which is probably where you are at and where I have been for a number of years, searching for that answer of why are we here, and all this that I've accumulated or haven't accumulated, it really means nothing inside me spiritually.
From the teachings of the Kabbalah Center, all 5 of those stages would be affected by consciousness. Mm-hmm. The stage of I want power. Most people want some type of power, because you had power, you would have control. So it's a natural-born instinct to want power. But for most people, that instinct stems from their ego, from a negative consciousness. I want power so no one can hurt me. How many people want power so they can help others? That's the difference. Food and water to sustain yourself. Of course you have to have food and water. It's not normal not to want food and water. Mm-hmm. I want food and water because it makes me feel good, because I'm hungry, because I want to celebrate, because I like the taste, because I want to be healthy. Or the Kabbalists would want food and water because they want to maintain their physical strength so they could pursue their mission. So each one of those stages of desire, including connecting to the force that you're not aware of, to the Kabbalist would be to help mankind, and to the non-Kabbalist, to the traditionalist, would be for their self alone. So to sum it up in the teachings that we are taught, it's not to have desire for oneself alone. It's to have desire for others. Now that sounds it's so simple, and it is. Kabbalah is simple. Doing it, practicing it, is a little tougher. To constantly transform your desire into a desire for others, to a desire to share. That's tough. A lot of people don't start a business with the intentions of one day I'm going to be wealthy and have all this money to give away. They don't think like that, or to give to charity. I'm going to start a business, I want to be wealthy. Now, to some people, when they become wealthy, they give some of it away, and others don't. But the seed of the consciousness, I'm starting a business in order to share, that would be desire to share. Starting a business in order to prosper would be desire for oneself alone. Now, also, I want to, while we're on the topic of desire, the Kabbalist, the true Kabbalist, has the greatest desires in the world, much more desire than the average person. They want it all. Happiness, health, fulfillment, sustenance, wealth. They want it all, but they want it so that they can benefit others.
And that's the true meaning of coming out of the dark and into the light, correct?
That's correct. Darkness, what is darkness? If you walk into a room and you are in a dark room and then you turn on the light, where did the darkness go? Darkness didn't go anywhere. Darkness itself doesn't exist. Darkness is the absence of light. When you if you were to put an umbrella up, you're outside on the beach, and you put an umbrella over your head, you've now covered yourself from the sun. You're technically in darkness, right? You've made self-shade. Now, is the sun not there? No, the sun is there, but you're blocking the sun. You're blocking the light. So darkness is the absence of light. The goal of Kabbalah is to put light into dark situations. So even, on a very relevant example, you get an X-ray. What does the doctor say when you have a problem with your lung or in your body? Say there's a black spot. There's a black spot on your lung. Right? He doesn't say there's an object here. It's a black spot, a shadow. That shadow is the absence of light, the absence of flow within your body, a blockage. Kabbalah is designed to remove those is designed to transform those blockages by adding light.
So that's where the light goes. Because I know there's a saying that I picked up: the light of the Creator to have complete goodness and complete fulfillment in our lives. That's the goal, to become more and more like the Creator, so we can help others. Is that sort of a responsibility once you learn all this, and someone comes to you and needs help? That it's almost like a responsibility. You should go out and help them.
You help the people whose consciousness is deserving of the help. You don't just help the people for the sake of helping the people. You help the people whose consciousness is correct, and you help the people by providing them not only the sustenance they need, but the consciousness they may need. So if someone's begging, you have the right to decide: is the person sincere, genuine? Does the person really need food?
Right.
Or is this the way the person makes a living? You have to use your instincts. So you don't want to give, like sometimes we have doubts about charities. Giving to charity is one of the fundamentals, super important. Sometimes we have doubts. So which charity do you choose to give to? There's many charities where they don't spend the money efficiently, or they squander the money, or they actually take the money. And there are other charities that use the bulk of the money to do such good. So there's an energy to a charity. So it's not about I gave to a bad charity, therefore I accomplished something. Giving to a bad charity accomplishes nothing. You didn't gain from that. Giving to a good charity who does good with your money, that's where the energy, the light comes from. And I think it's important to define the word light here. Light is the energy force that stems from the Creator. So the Kabbalists are not sure what the Creator looks like or where the Creator came from.
Mm-hmm.
What they are sure about is that an energy emulates from the Creator. So there's a power source out there. That source, those rays of energy,
Mm-hmm.
are downloadable, like we download the internet to our computer. It's downloadable, but you have to have the code. And the code is your consciousness. You have to be open to it. So when we say the light, we're really talking about the life force of God.
Yeah, and as you were talking, I was thinking to myself that in Christianity, they teach you that all the good deeds you may do on earth mean nothing unless you have become more like Jesus, which would be like the Creator or God, as far as fulfillment, love, caring, compassion, for other people. All of that is well and good, but if you don't have it in your heart to do it, then there's no way you're going to enter the kingdom of God. Is Kabbalah in that all the good deeds in the world, it doesn't do you any good if you don't believe it within your heart?
Yeah, it's your consciousness. If the definition you just read from of Christianity is correct, if your intention, let's say you give to a foundation, doesn't matter for what. It could be health, could be religion, whatever it is, teaching, learning. You give to the foundation, and in the back of your mind, you want your name on a wall. That's what you want. You want to leave a legacy. You want your children your neighbors to see that you gave money to this cause, and you're insistent that your name go on the wall.
Yeah.
You do not receive the energy from that donation. Now, if you give to that same organization, and your consciousness is to help the organization, to help the people, and you even follow up to make sure the money is being used to really help someone.
Mm-hmm.
And as a thank you, they put your name on a wall. You get the consciousness. You get the light.
Mm-hmm.
But if you did it to get the name on the wall, you negate the light of it. Now, it's still good. Your money still went to the charity, but you yourself didn't get personal gain from it.
Have you seen miracles, experienced any miracles with Zara? And we need to get into what Zara is for those that didn't join us the first time. Zohar. Oh, it's Zohar. Okay, I had an A there. Sorry. Well, I'm a lousy speller.
Zara was a next door neighbor.
I don't remember him. I don't remember him next door to you guys.
That's because it was a her. But the Zohar is the fundamental book of the Kabbalah. It's where all the teachings are, but it's written in a code, so it has to be interpreted by your teacher.
Oh, so in other words, I just couldn't pick up a book and start reading as I would the Bible or a novel or something.
Well, it's originally written in Aramaic, so if you read the original source, you would have to understand Aramaic. If you translated the Aramaic, the Kabbalah Center has translated the Zohar from the Aramaic into English, and into Spanish and into other languages. But if you read the literal translation, it's not understandable. It's not gibberish. There are sentences, there's a storyline, but it's not understandable. For example, there's a line in the Zohar that says, Hashem, which is God, said, protect the windows to your soul. Protect the windows to your home. Protect the windows to your home. So if you took it at face value, that would mean put up bars, get an ADT alarm, protect the windows to your home.
Whatever you do, don't put duct tape on your windows, because that'll that destroys everything. It
simply protects the duct tape. But
yes.
But it would protect the windows to your home. Okay, so now the Kabbalah teacher will explain to you, protect is protect, but the windows to your home is your body.
Mm-hmm.
The windows are your eyes, your ears, and your mouth. Those are the entries to your body and your soul.
Mm-hmm.
So when the power was saying, protect the windows to your home, what he was really saying was, shield yourself from all negativity. For it is the negativity, the negative thoughts, the negative words, that will cause harm to your body, your home. Now, that's one line. Every line is deep like that. Now, you can read it, you can understand the sentence, but you wouldn't understand the true meaning unless a Kabbalah teacher interpreted it for you. Now, there's still benefits to having the Zohar. The Zohar has a power to it. Now, that's an incredulous comment. I mean, it's an incredible comment. I mean, the book has a power to it. Well, like many people believe the Bible. The Bible itself, the book itself, has a power to it.
Yes.
The Zohar, written in Aramaic, was the world's original language, has a power to it. So simply having it offers you a degree of protection, a degree of spiritual elevation. But reading it and interpreting it and accepting it goes higher. So it's important to have, and it's also important to read and understand.
How important?
But for I just want to say this for your listening audience, who said, I'm not going to understand it, I'm not going to read it. That's okay. Have it, get it, and just scan the letters, because the letters have power. Now, it still sounds, it's an incredible statement. The letters have power. Well, stop and think about it. Doesn't a stop sign in bright red make you react differently than, say, a pink sign that would say the same word, stop, or a gray sign? Sure, because we react subliminally and subconsciously to colors, symbols, and codes. The same way a register now in a supermarket scans a can of tomato soup from a barcode. Well, if I told you that before it was actually in existence, you'd say it's impossible. How could you hold up a can with a barcode to a counter and have it understand what it's saying? But we know it's true because we see it. It's the same thing with Aramaic letters. Those letters have power. There are barcodes.
Do you think that a lot of people don't believe, and this is getting off the philosophy part of Kabbalah, and of course Kabbalah is not a religion, but just one question as you're talking about faith and seeing things, I find a lot of people who don't believe in any kind of entity, whether it be God or Jesus or Buddha or whomever, they're almost like doubting Thomases. They have to see it, they have to touch it, and just mere words on a page don't do it for them. What do you say to those people as far as enlightenment within themselves to look in there and go, I need something, but if I don't see it, if I can't touch it, I can't believe in it. What do you say to those people, Zev?
So at the Kabbalah Center, we're taught not to judge people, so it's not a negative reaction towards that belief. But if you stop and evaluate it at face value, people who don't believe in anything simply believe in themselves. It's about them.
And it's the ego again.
That's their ego again. It stems from their ego. So if nothing else, they would just have to shut down their ego, learn a little, and then make the decision. How could they not believe in something that they know nothing about? And the truth is, we know nothing about a power that created this world. Now, if you choose to think that everything is random, that's a sensational thought in itself, that the rain creates grass, and the grass it feeds little critters, and little critters feed big critters, and big critters feed us. What a lucky break. That the world is so perfect. The sun rises and sets like clockwork and is never off. How fortunate. It's not fortunate. It's predetermined. Nothing is random. Everything has a purpose. Everything has a reason.
Much like the WWE, it has a predetermined outcome. How has Kabbalah changed you from the Zev I knew before to the Zev I'm talking to now?
Well, I was extremely reactive prior to studying Kabbalah, and I still, I'm in the learning process. I still react. I'm certainly not a saint or a prophet, so I still have reaction. However, thanks to the Kabbalah, I've started the practice of restriction. So I'm not reactive. I'm aware that, and if I do react, if I fall off the wagon, and falling off the wagon is okay, as long as you get up and you realize you fell off the wagon. If you don't realize you fell off the wagon, you got a problem. You're not learning. You're not listening. So it's taught me to restrict, taught me not to react. I scan the Zohar every day to try and connect to that power. And I'm in the process of elevation. And I try and to share the knowledge via talk shows like this. That's why we're doing this. I'm trying to share and spread the knowledge with other people that are listening to you, because that's what my objective, my job is, my responsibility is. If you have something good, what's the natural instinct? To share it, right? If you developed a cure for the common cold, you wouldn't want to keep it. You'd want everyone to have it. It's no more common cold. That's why people try and make comics make people laugh. They want to share. So Kabbalah heightens the awareness to want to share. So it did that in me. And it also taught me to restrict, not to overreact, and it put me in touch with my ego. It made me acknowledge my ego. If the first step in shutting down your ego is acknowledging you have one.
That's tough.
It is tough. It is tough. You know, think about how we're born. I mean, we're born with the desire for oneself alone. From the second we're infants, we cry. Did you ever meet a parent that taught a child to take a toy from another child? No. No parent in their right mind would say, "Go ahead. You want that toy? Steal it. Grab it. Run with it." But every child, somehow, when they're in that first time in that play group, they grab someone else's toy, and the other kid starts to cry. Who taught them that? No one taught them that. It's natural instincts. They're born with what's called an evil inclination. Now, the evil inclination doesn't mean you're a serial killer. What it means is you have a selfish streak, and different people have different degrees of selfish streaks. Some people are extraordinarily selfish, and other people are not as selfish. But everyone has the potential to be selfish. You know, there's an old joke that says, if you want to find out what a person's really about, get them drunk or do a money transaction with them. That's when you right? You loosen up and you say, oh, they have a violent side or they have a greedy side. That's when their ego is flaring. It's on fire. So the goal of the Kabbalah is to shut down that ego and open up to the light force of the Creator. And it's not easy because we're born with two voices. The loud voice, which is the negative side, and the soft voice, which is our positive side.
When you were talking about falling off the bandwagon, do you think that's where a lot of people get thrown off the rails, as it were? Whether you're talking about Christianity or a philosophy like Kabbalah, that they fail and they go, oh well, that's it. I'm no good. I can't get back. Do you think that's the whole thing? People look at failure as failure instead of understanding that failure is nothing more than the process of going through life, and it's also part of the process of knowledge. That in order to succeed, you must fail numerous times or enough till you learn the lessons to get you going in the right direction?
You're correct again. That the failure is the problem that keeps people off the bandwagon, keeps them off the horse from getting back on. But again, that's ego. It's more specifically, it's something we call the victim consciousness. I am a victim. I'm a set of circumstances. Therefore, I do not have to achieve. I do not have to do.
Yeah.
That's your ego speaking. Your ego wants you to believe that. What's correct in saying is, yeah, I have these circumstances, but I can overcome them. Mm-hmm. I was dealt these cards, but I can get it. I can play them a certain way. Mm-hmm. Everyone has the potential to overcome. Everyone has the potential to overcome their barriers, their situation. If nothing less than the consciousness of the situation. So God forbid you have a severe handicap. Mm-hmm. You may not be able in this lifetime to reverse that handicap in this lifetime. Future lifetimes going to Kabbalah, you can. But in this lifetime, you may not be able to reverse that handicap. But you can reverse the effects of that handicap on your mind. By the perspective, shifting your perspective as to why you have it. Mm-hmm. I have it for a reason. Am I going through a spiritual transformation? What of value can I still share with? I remember once early on, I said to my Kabbalah teacher, it was a tough day, and I said, I can't take it anymore. And his response was, so quit taking it and start giving it. And he didn't mean giving back negativity. He meant giving positivity. Quit taking and start giving.
I can't imagine you ever going home at the end of the day, and like I said, I've known you 25 plus years, ever getting that upset. You're always the most mild-mannered man I've ever known in my life, so that must have been one heck of a day.
It wasn't the end of the day. It was the beginning of the night.
Okay, I don't want to go there, Zev. You're a married man, and I'm a much older married man. But, you're right. As you know, I've had some setbacks in my life from time to time. We all do, and Of course, I took 10 years out of my life to take care of my mom and dad, and you remember that because, well, you were down in South Florida at the time. But, I don't regret that, even though financially it set me back a great deal. I don't mind because I was doing something that I felt good and proud of, whether I was ever rewarded spiritually by it or whether ever God says, Gary, you did some good things here. I always felt good about that. And then you were talking also about people that have a handicap. How many people do we know that have handicaps that do use it as a teaching tool to say, hey, if I can get there with this, what's stopping you?
Right.
Do you think people also, you'd also think, Zev, that maybe sometimes people stop themselves in their tracks because their friends tell them, well, what do you mean you want to do this? I mean, how many people told me before I went to L.A., you want to be an actor? What are you, crazy? You can't do that. I mean, do you think that's also what Kabbalah can help you overcome, these negative waves that come from people, and they do come?
One of the other key words of Kabbalah is certainty. Kabbalah gives you certainty that you can do anything, but if you have the right consciousness. Mm-hmm. If you don't have the right consciousness, you're going to be challenged no matter what you do. But if you have the right consciousness, you can overcome any obstacle and achieve anything in your life, anything. But you have to have the right consciousness. Mm-hmm. Our mind is much more powerful than any other part of our body. Yes. And the way that the mind becomes even more powerful is by tapping into its potential, by downloading that power that exists that's in the universe that created this whole world. Mm-hmm. And, this power we're talking about, we've all felt it. Some people call it ESP. Some people call it instincts. We've also have a feeling about this guy. I don't like this guy. I don't know why. It makes my skin crawl. There's an instinct out there. We have instinct. So we're temporarily tapping into the power. How many times has someone said to you, has the phone rang, you picked it up, and you say, geez, I was just thinking of you. Yeah. All of us. Now, that wasn't a coincidence. You, for the moment, were tapping into what we call the 99%, the reality we can't see. We live in a 1% illusionary world. It's not that the desks aren't real and the trees aren't real. They're real. But it's a 1% illusion for the bigger picture. The bigger picture we can't see, but we can feel. So if you open your mind to it, you can feel the power that's outside the universe. When you have certainty that you can tap into that power, certainty in yourself, certainty in your mission, certainty in your cause, certainty in your consciousness, you can achieve things that you can't achieve normally.
Ah, that's interesting because most people figure that they can't achieve what they really want to because everybody in the world tells them not to.
You can always find a naysayer because everyone in the world has an ego, and if it was so easy to achieve, why wouldn't they achieve? Mm-hmm. So they're very eager and anxious to tell you don't sweat the details. You can't do this. But the truth is, you can do it. We all know the sensational stories, the 5'5" guy that becomes a basketball player because he can jump so high.
Yeah, what was it? Bugsy Wells? Was it Bugsy Wells back in our day? Yeah.
Right. Or the kid that grows up in poverty and becomes a brain surgeon or a great scientist. Mm-hmm. So there are certain people that channel an extraordinary power, and it's very obvious. But we're not talking about something so extraordinary and extreme in every situation. Mm-hmm. We're talking about the day-to-day person who wants to improve their life or improve their relationship or improve the relationship with their children or better themselves. That's possible too. But to those people, they're in a rut. They're in quicksand. They don't know how to get out of that quicksand because they're not tapping into a power that exists. They can get out of the quicksand. They just have to self-motivate themselves by opening their minds that there's something out there that they can't see that's greater than they are.
And that's, you just hit the key word, opening their minds. I think a lot of people are, excuse me, and I hate to use this phrase, Zev, but afraid to go beyond their own consciousness and beyond their own backyard because they're afraid of what's on the other side in some cases.
They're afraid of failure. They're afraid of failure, or they're afraid of more responsibility, or they're afraid of more work, or they're afraid of the process. Afraid. What is afraid? What is fear? Ego. Mm-hmm. Again, it's back to your ego. I'm fearful of being hurt, therefore I don't want to try.
Yep.
I'm fearful of working too hard, therefore I don't want to do. Well, fear is ego. Restriction would say, I have nothing to fear, and go forward. because it's part of the process. That restriction will shut down your fear. It's a classic example. I'm afraid to go on an interview because I don't speak as well as the next person. I don't look as good. My clothes aren't as fancy. The Kabbalists would say, okay, that's all true. I don't look as good. I don't speak as good. And Moses had a speech impediment. However, my desire for this job, my anxiousness for this job, my willingness to give is far better than the next person. And if I express that to the boss or to the person that's interviewing me, they'll certainly recognize that. And I should have this job. I deserve this job. Why? Because I will do a better job than the next person.
Do you think
positive consciousness?
Do you think Kabbalah helps people raise their confidence level within themselves so they're more confident when they go out there for that job interview? Or, like in my case, people told me, Gary, you can't do the Jay Leno thing. I did it for 10 years in Vegas. Who's kidding who? And in your case, advertising, the ad team's not going to make it. How are you guys going to make it? Do you think Kabbalah gives you the confidence to be able to go out there and say, you know what? If I fall on my face, I fall on my face, but I'm going to learn something from it, but I'm going to keep moving forward.
Kabbalah gives you the consciousness, the certainty in your mission. If my mission is for good intention and you firmly believe in it, then you have confidence that goes beyond. I was once speaking, not about Kabbalah, but just speaking to a Marine sergeant. And the Marine was talking about fear. He says, many people think Marines don't have fear.
Oh.
We're totally afraid. Who wouldn't be afraid to walk into a flurry of bullets? Of course we're afraid. But the definition of courage is being afraid and doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Now the Marines have certainty in their mission. Their mission is to overcome evil and share democracy, and they're and protect their country. They're so certain of their mission that they've accomplished heroic feats throughout time. We, as regular people, it may not be as glorified as going to war, but as regular people, if we had certainty in our mission, I'm going to earn money, I'm going to do good things with that money, I'm going to support my family, I'm going to give to my church, my synagogue, I'm going to give to charity, I'm going to better the world, I will do anything to better the world. If we really believed that, we could do anything.
Yeah. And as far as courage in battle, I can tell you, and you know this from a lot of us who were classmates of yours, we were all veterans, a lot of scared men do things in combat that they wish they were someplace else doing something else. A lot of scared men fight wars and wish they were someplace else. If you go into combat with somebody and they're not scared, run and never look back because they're insane. But yeah, right. I think how it's changed you. Of course, I don't see you day to day, but I know you. I know you had a great personality and you were always confident. That's the one thing about you that I always knew. You had great confidence about who you were, where you were, and what you wanted to do with your life. But how can it help in relationships, Zev? Because we got about 5 or 6 minutes here, and I got to let you run. But
okay.
How can it help you in a relationship, whether it's falling apart, beginning, or whatever the case? And then also talk about miracles. Talk about some of the miracles you've seen.
First of all, in the relationships, many people get married or have a relationship because of what the mate can do for them. I want to go out with him or her because of the way he or she makes me feel. How many times have you heard someone say, I want to go out with him or her or marry him or her because of the way I can make them feel? It's complete reverse. They're in it for them, whether it's a physical attraction or their strength or their money, or it's proper to be married, it's proper to have a date. They're in it for all the wrong reasons themselves, their ego. If they would rechannel that and say, we're on the same page spiritually, we connect to the same goals, she or he is a good person, I want to make this person feel good. And if I'm loyal to them and I marry them and I have a relationship with them, I can help serve them. I can make them feel good. And in turn, that will make you feel good. So it's reversing the consciousness of the relationship. It's not about you. It's about her or him. Now, that sounds, again, an extreme way of looking at things. But if you try it, you'll see that you'll end up being the benefactor, because that energy, that consciousness will be returned to you. As far as the miracles, my son, the Kabbalah helped my son overcome a major medical issue we had at the time. I was going to all the doctors, and you still have to go to doctors. Doctors are in the Zohar. The doctors are tools. They're not in charge. You're using them as tools. So you still have to have consciousness in order to get a spiritual cure. You still need doctors, you still need medicines, but you also need consciousness so that the cure is omnipresent. It's your body and soul. Otherwise, diseases, as you know, have a way of coming back. They can be dormant for a while and then they return. So in order to truly be healthy, you have to cure body and soul according to the Zohar. I saw that miracle with my son. I wasn't religious. I wasn't a believer in anything but God. I believed there was a God, and he was out there, and I didn't know how to contact him. That's what I believed. I was in a world created by something that I had no way of contacting, but he existed. The Kabbalah showed me that miracle, and again, seeing at the Kabbalah, because seeing is not believing, believing is seeing. When you have certainty, it appears. So it appeared for me. I saw the miracle, and then I saw other miracles at the center. Not all medical. Sometimes it was relationships. Sometimes it was failing businesses, prosperity, businesses turn around. Sometimes it was just personal fulfillment. But I saw all the little miracles that happen at the center. And once you look for a miracle, you'll find it. The miracles are out there. It's not that they don't exist. We just don't look for them, so therefore we don't see them. If you look and you appreciate miracles. We once said to the Rav, the founder of the Kabbalah Center, so a student said, what a miracle I had today. He said, what happened? He said, I was in a tremendous accident and I lived. And the Rav said that the true miracle would be not being in the accident at all.
Yeah, I guess so.
Right? He looked at it differently. So the person obviously had a mini miracle, but the real miracle would have been not being in that accident at all. So every day we arrive to our office or our home without being in an accident, we don't consider it a miracle. But if you look at the number of accidents that are on the road every day, it is. Oh, yeah. So if you believe, again, seeing is not believing, believing is seeing, and the miracles are out there. You just have to reach out and grab one.
Would it be easy to say that Kabbalah is an ongoing journey through life, through study and learning, so you can get more into the light and shed the darkness?
Just like weightlifting or aerobics, you have to constantly work out in order to maintain your shape and improve, right? If you're a race car driver, you could be winning the race, a 100-lap race. It's the 99th lap, and you take your foot off the pedal. What happens? The car slows down, and the car behind you wins. You lose. Kabbalah is the same way. It's constant. It's never-ending. It's not, I went, I did it, I'm done. It's constant training of restriction and shutting down your ego. It's constant elevation. We're not going to be Moses or Jesus Christ in this lifetime.
No.
We're not prophets like that. We don't have that consciousness. But there's certainly a place in between where we are now and where those people are. So to reach that place, it's constant study, constant work, constant mental exercise. But it's not. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. It can be fun. It can be fulfilling. You just have to shift your perspective and understand that we're blinded. We're limited. We're like the horse at the racetrack. They put the blinders on so he doesn't look to the left or to the right. He walks straight. Right. We're the same way. We have blinders on. We have to take off the blinders and see the bigger picture.
Yeah. See the world around us. Zev, it has been an interesting hour, and to sum all this up, why should someone want to investigate and look into Kabbalah?
To improve themselves and then improve the world.
Well, it doesn't get any more basic than that. Zev, I promised I'd get you out of here before 3:30, and we're almost reaching that hour. Zev, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking time out of your evening to join us. And so I got you out of here on time, and you take good care of yourself, and I'll be in touch in the next couple of days or so. And again, thank you very much, Zev Auerbach. I'm talking about
Garrett,
Kabbalah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Before you sign off, I just want to thank you for bringing this content to your show, because whoever hears it, you've given them the opportunity to improve themselves and improve the world. So thank you.
Well, Zev, actually, you've actually helped me because, I've been searching spiritually for a lot of years. And, even though I was born of the Jewish faith, I'm a Christian by my own choice. And, a little bit of knowledge doesn't hurt. And Kabbalah, to me, runs parallel to some of the Christian religion. And if you're into it and you're doing it, and this is a philosophy you believe in, and knowing you the way I do, I have to look into it myself because there's nobody more in this world I'm proud of than you and your success and your life. And I thank you again for taking time out of your day to come and join us here on The Express. And we'll be in touch real soon, Zev. Thank you so very much.
All right. Thank you, Gary. Thank you.
God bless.
Bye. Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Mr. Zev Auerbach talking about Kabbalah. We hope we've been able to enlighten you a little tiny bit. Again, this is a program that I've been wanting to get back to for some time when Zev first joined us on the air a few months back. But Zev is one of those unique individuals that I've known since our days at Miami, going to college together. And believe me, what he says is the truth. And while I'm not into Kabbalah, I've certainly been reading a lot about it. Look into it. Find out a little bit about yourself. Investigate who you are. Because if I can't help impart some knowledge on you and you take a little bit away from it, then I'm not doing my job at all. Well, I think that's pretty much it. EW, anything final words before we go?
Nothing I can think of.
Well, then if you can't think of anything, and you are the Wizard of Wiz, so we will definitely sign off here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here on The Express. We will have some great shows coming up for you here in June and July. I thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, and until next week, please take care of each other. Watch out for each other. God bless. See you next Tuesday.
You've been listening to The Express with Gary Allen. Join us here every Tuesday night at 10 for more captivating talk with Gary Allen. See you next time on The Express.